There comes a moment in every man's life when silence fills the room, not because you choose it, but because she does. One day, without warning, the woman you thought was close begins to slip away. Her messages fade, her presence grows colder, her attention disappears. Most men panic. They chase, they beg, and in that desperation, they lose something far greater than her. They lose their respect. But here's the paradox. You don't need to run after her, explain yourself, or fight to be heard. The truth is, you only need one powerful move that flips the entire dynamic in your favor. If you're ready to master this, don't just watch. Subscribe to Stoic Silence right now and join thousands of men rebuilding their strength in silence. Drop a 1 if you've ever been ignored, or a 2 if you've ever chased and regretted it. I want to hear your story in the comments. And remember, what comes next will reveal why silence is the most dangerous weapon a man can ever wield. Are you ready to find out? 1. The instinct of panic and fear. Every man knows this moment, the sudden silence, the cold distance, the unanswered call. It feels as if the ground beneath your feet has been shaken, and in that instant, fear rises like a storm inside your chest. Most men react the same way. Panic takes control, and they rush forward, desperately chasing the fading presence of a woman who has withdrawn. Yet this instinct isn't random. It is rooted in ancient fears that have haunted men for centuries. The fear of abandonment, of rejection, of losing someone they have invested their heart in. Marcus Aurelius once warned that such fears enslave a man's soul if left unchecked, turning strength into weakness. But here lies the truth. The harder you chase, the further she drifts. Every attempt to explain, every message sent in desperation, only convinces her that you are losing the very thing she longs to see in you: composure. And the deeper tragedy is this: your fear doesn't only push her away, it strips you of your dignity. You stop being the man of vision and purpose, and instead become a man defined by her approval. The Stoics remind us of a timeless law. You cannot control another's actions, but you can always command your own. When panic rises, choose stillness. When fear tempts you, choose presence. By refusing to let emotions dictate your behavior, you reclaim the power that desperation steals. And in that silence, both she and you are reminded of a greater truth. Strength is never found in chasing what runs, but in standing firm when everything tempts you to collapse. Hold your ground, because it is in that stillness that respect begins to return. And this is where the story truly starts to shift. 2. The power of silence. Silence terrifies the insecure, but it strengthens the man who commands himself. When a woman begins to pull away, most men make the fatal mistake of believing that words can bridge the growing distance. They argue, explain, or beg, hoping that noise will somehow heal what silence has already revealed. But the truth is that words often become wasted breath, while silence speaks the language of mastery. Epictetus once said, "We were given 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen twice as much as we speak." In relationships, this wisdom becomes power. The moment you refuse to react, you break her expectations. She anticipates your pursuit, but instead she is met with absence. She expects to hear flattery, but instead she faces the echo of your restraint. And in that stillness, something shifts. No longer are you the one grasping for control. Now it is she who must face the void she created. This unsettles her because the silence exposes truth. It forces reflection she cannot escape. That is why silence becomes both your shield and your sword. It communicates more than any speech could, that you are calm, disciplined, and unwilling to compromise your dignity. The man who can hold silence without fear radiates unshakable respect. His stillness becomes a mirror in which she must confront her own choices. And often, it is in that mirror where female psychology is built around emotional testing. Remember this truth, because what comes next will reveal why silence, more than words, reshapes the entire dynamic of power. 3. The nature of her tests. When she withdraws, it is not always an ending. It is often an examination. Many men assume that distance means rejection, and in their rush to hold on, they reveal the very neediness that weakens them. Yet what if her silence is not punishment, but a question? A quiet way of asking if the man before her can withstand pressure without breaking. Women, whether they realize it or not, test men in this way. They want to see if you will collapse like every other man, or if you will remain calm and steady in the storm. Most men fail this test. They explain too much, they give too much, and in doing so, they prove that their emotions can be easily controlled. Each fearful reaction teaches her that her moods dictate your behavior, and once she believes she has that power, respect begins to fade, and without respect, attraction dissolves with it. The Stoics gave us the answer long ago. Endurance. Hold steady. Do not bend when tested. Show her through your calm discipline that your worth does not depend on her approval. Show her that your stability is anchored in something far deeper, your own mastery of self. When she realizes her storms cannot shake you, she sees what is rare in this world, a man grounded in self-control. And self-mastery, above all, is irresistible. This is the moment where her tests no longer weaken you. They define you as the man she cannot ignore. 4. Turning focus. Back to yourself. The surest way to lose yourself is to make her your universe. When a man spends his days analyzing her words, her silences, and her gestures, he slowly erases the very essence that once made him magnetic, his independence. The truth is simple. When your identity revolves around her moods, you surrender control of your life to something you can never truly command. The Stoics remind us that happiness is not found in controlling others, but in mastering oneself. And mastery begins when you reclaim your focus. The more you chase her attention, the less valuable it becomes. What was once affection turns into suffocation, and the harder you fight to hold on, the quicker it slips through your fingers. Dependence kills desire, because no woman can respect a man who collapses when she withdraws. She feels your need, and that need pushes her further away. The paradox is clear. The more you give up yourself for her approval, the less she feels compelled to give you her presence. The answer lies in shifting the center of gravity back to yourself. Pour energy into your health, your craft, your mission. Show through action that your life does not shrink when she withdraws, it expands. This is not selfishness, it is strength. It is a man declaring that his life is bigger than one person's validation. And here lies the irony. When you no longer make her the source of your worth, she begins to feel your independence. And it is precisely that independence which pulls her back into your orbit, because a man who lives for his purpose rather than her approval is the man she cannot resist. This is where true attraction is born, when your world no longer depends on hers. 5. The magnetic pull of mystery. A man fully understood is a man quickly forgotten. Too many men overshare, over-explain, and expose every detail of their lives in a desperate attempt to be liked. But what is easily known is rarely deeply desired. The human mind hungers for uncertainty, and in relationships, women are drawn even more to what they cannot fully grasp. Mystery awakens curiosity, and curiosity keeps her invested. When you reveal everything too soon, you rob her of imagination. Without imagination, attraction withers, because there is nothing left to wonder about, no intrigue left to pursue. The tragedy is that most men suffocate desire with their own transparency. By leaving no gaps, no pauses, no restraint, they erase the very tension that makes passion possible. The Stoics teach us that strength lies in restraint. Live fully, but do not expose every corner of your soul. Let her earn access to your truth slowly, piece by piece, instead of giving it away cheaply. A man who carries quiet confidence and layered depth becomes unforgettable. His mystery lingers long after words fade, binding her curiosity like a flame she cannot resist. And this is where the balance shifts, because a man who cannot be fully possessed is the man she will never stop pursuing. 6. The projection of value. A man's value is not measured by what he says, it is revealed in what he radiates without a single word. Too often men try to prove their worth by chasing harder, giving more, or pleasing endlessly. But these actions rarely project strength. Instead, they communicate a hidden weakness. A man who must convince others of his value is already unsure of it himself. Women are deeply intuitive. They don't just hear your words, they sense your essence. And what they feel is either the quiet power of self-respect or the emptiness of self-neglect. If you beg, tolerate disrespect, or reward her distance with more attention, you silently declare that your value is negotiable. Nothing destroys attraction faster than this. Because once she perceives that you don't value yourself, she cannot value you. You become ordinary in her eyes, replaceable, forgettable, disposable. The projection of true value begins within. It is carved through discipline, lived out through purpose, and reinforced by boundaries that you refuse to compromise. You don't have to boast about it. You show it in how you live, how you carry yourself, and in your ability to remain silent when words are unnecessary. When your presence alone communicates worth, she feels it without needing explanation. And in that unspoken recognition, her respect begins to return, because a man who values himself becomes the man no woman can ignore. This is the kind of power that cannot be faked. It must be lived. 7. The power of psychological reversal. What she expects will control you until you decide to break the script. When a woman distances herself, she assumes you will panic, chase, and scramble to prove her importance. That assumption gives her comfort, because in her mind, she holds the control. But attraction does not thrive on what is predictable. It thrives on surprise, on tension, on the unexpected turns that keep emotions alive. If she knows every move you will make, the story grows stale, and her feelings begin to fade. Most men fall into this trap without realizing it. They repeat the same patterns, apologizing when tested, overgiving when ignored, clinging when pushed away. Every action reinforces her belief that she controls the rhythm of the relationship, and with each repetition, he loses respect, authority, and ultimately himself. This pattern suffocates a man's strength. The Stoic answer is reversal. You take back your power not by fighting harder, but by stepping back. You withhold what she has taken for granted, your endless attention, your constant pursuit, your predictable reaction. In that silence, she begins to feel the absence of what she assumed would always be there. She wonders why you no longer follow the script. And in that wondering, her desire awakens again, because now she fears losing what she once controlled. Psychological reversal is not a game, it is discipline, and that discipline is what makes you unforgettable. 8. Mastering the frame. In every relationship, there is always one frame that dominates, yours or hers. The frame is the reality through which the relationship operates, and whichever one prevails dictates the direction of trust, attraction, and respect. When you allow her emotions to dictate your reactions, you lose your frame, and once you surrender it, you surrender the very foundation of her respect. A man without his frame is a man without center, constantly bending to the winds of another's moods. The Stoics remind us that true freedom lies in self-mastery. To master the frame is to master yourself, regardless of what storms rage around you. Yet most men abandon their frame too quickly. They scramble to adjust to her mood swings, to explain themselves endlessly, to chase when they should stand still, to appease when they should hold firm. In doing so, they project instability, and instability is fatal to attraction. A woman cannot feel safe with a man who sways with every emotional wave. She does not seek submission, she seeks strength. To hold your frame is not to dominate her, it is to master yourself. Boundaries, silence, and composure become the weapons of a man who commands respect without demanding it. When your frame is stronger than hers, she no longer tests to see if you will break. Instead, she begins to relax into your stability, and in that surrender, trust is born. And trust, once established, is the bedrock of lasting respect and the kind of attraction that does not fade with time. This is why mastering the frame is not optional, it is essential. 9. The final lesson. Her distance is not the end, it is the test. Many men fail because they meet her silence with desperation, chasing validation, and proving with every move that their worth was never real without her. But distance is not destruction, it is refinement. The Stoics remind us that adversity is the fire that reveals the metal of a man's soul. Every silence, every withdrawal, every test is an invitation, not to lose yourself in fear, but to stand in the truth of who you are. In that moment, the choice is always yours. Collapse and you confirm weakness. Stand firm and you radiate strength. The paradox is undeniable. When you no longer need her, she begins to need you. When you stop chasing, she feels compelled to move closer. When you choose silence, she is forced to hear what cannot be spoken. The lesson is simple, yet profound. Embrace silence, embrace composure, embrace self-mastery. Redirect your energy inward, build your body, sharpen your mind, guard your dignity. Allow time itself to testify to your worth. Because the man who no longer seeks her validation transforms the entire dynamic. He becomes rare, he becomes untouchable, and in that moment, he is no longer the man she could ignore. He becomes the man she fears losing. This is the final truth every man must carry. Strength is not found in chasing what drifts away, but in remaining unshaken when tested by silence. Brother, let me leave you with this. What you've just heard is not a story about her, it's a story about you. Her silence, her distance, her tests, these are not punishments, they are opportunities. Opportunities to decide whether you will collapse into fear or rise into strength. The panic, the urge to chase, the desperate need for validation, these are traps that strip a man of his dignity. But when you choose silence, when you master your frame, when you turn your focus back to yourself, you no longer play her game. You redefine the game. This journey has one lesson at its core. You cannot control her, but you can always command yourself. And when you do, everything changes. Respect returns. Attraction reignites. Most importantly, you regain the man you were meant to be. Now I want to hear from you. Have you seen these signs in your own life? Have you been tested by silence, or caught yourself chasing when you knew you shouldn't? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your story, because the moment you speak it, you begin to master it. And if you're ready to keep walking this path of strength, wisdom, and self-mastery, make sure you subscribe to Stoic Silence. Like this video, join the brotherhood, and remember, silence is not weakness. It is the weapon of a man who knows his worth. At the end of the day, every moment of silence, every withdrawal, and every test is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to reveal you. The man who chooses panic will always lose himself, But the man who chooses composure, dignity, and purpose becomes unshakable. That is the essence of strength, the essence of attraction, and the essence of what it means to walk the Stoic path in a world that constantly tests your spirit. So let me ask you, have you seen these signs in your own life? Have you felt that moment when someone's silence pushed you to the edge of yourself? The difference between collapse and control is the choice you make in that very moment. And that choice will define not just how she sees you, but how you see yourself. If this message resonated with you, if you're ready to reclaim your power and walk with the kind of strength that cannot be ignored, then take the next step. Like this video, subscribe to Stoic Silence, and drop your thoughts or comments below. Share your experience, your questions, your struggles. This is more than just content. It's a journey back to yourself, and your voice matters here. Stay with me, because the path of silence, mastery, and strength is only just beginning.